All right. So this afternoon, I will be taking you all through the new Motility software customizable management dashboard. So it's got a lot of good new features and gives you the ability to really give the dashboard a look and feel that works for you in your position at the dealership, as opposed to the previous dashboard, which is kind of fixed and pretty static and the look and feel of it. And you kind of had to go through a lot of screens and tabs and so forth to get the information you were really wanting to get. Whereas in our new dashboard, which I'll show you shortly here, you'll be able to put a lot of that important information and those metrics on the front page, so to speak. So before we get started here, there is a Q&A section in the Zoom meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the material with you first, and then at the end of my presentation, I'll go through the Q&A list, and then I'll read the questions out so the entire audience can hear the question, and then I'll respond to those questions. So we'll save that to the end. So if you have questions as we go through it, just write them down in the Q&A section, and then I'll get to your questions at the conclusion of my presentation here. All right, and then I'll kind of leave the floor open during that time as well, if anybody has any questions at that point. All right, just a quick question before we start, not really related to this, but I got a question from Michael here asking if this is covering the management dashboard. This particular session is, and this follow-up to that is, are we offering other webinars for other parts of the software? And the answer to that is yes, we will be doing some future webinar sessions on different parts of the software. I don't have an exact schedule at this point in time, but that information will go out similarly to how this webinar went out. Okay, and also the webinars are being recorded, which is kind of why we got everybody on mute, so we can cut out some of the background noise. So they are being recorded. We are doing 3 webinars this week on the management dashboard. Each of the 3 will be recorded, and then we'll make one of those available and publish that probably to our website. And we'll make sure you guys have the information on how to get to that, so you can share that information with your teams at the dealerships there. If you want more information about how to get the dashboard configured or installed at your location, at the conclusion of this meeting or this webinar, you can follow up with your account executive here, and they will be able to get you the information or at least get you to the right person that can get the new dashboard configured for you. So if there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and get started. Right now, you guys should be seeing the Motility demo system, our main page. And before I show you the new dashboard, I'd like to kind of go over the old one just briefly, because I know some people on the call may not have used the dashboard in the past, may not know what it offers. So I want to kind of show you what we had and show you where we're going with the dashboard. So the dashboard was basically a place that the management team could go to get a bird's eye view of different KPIs and different metrics in the system. So if I were a sales manager or a general manager, there's a section in our dashboard that allow you to see certain metrics like the number of hot contacts per salesperson, follow-ups, advertising lead distribution. You can see what statuses your deals were in for a given time period. So you can see, how many deals were in the negotiating phase versus deals in the ready for financing phase and so forth. So you could get those types of metrics. Whereas if you were, let's say, a parts manager, you could go to the parts section of the dashboard and you could get, inventory levels on a daily basis, sales on a daily basis. You could also go to the comparison screen and you can track counter sales for a given time period, and get gross margin numbers on those and so forth. So I'm just setting some quick parameters here. And it was pretty, not very user friendly. Like, see, as I go to a screen, One, if I'm in the parts department, when I open the dashboard, it goes to sales first. So I got to go through the parts tab, and then I got to go down here, set my location or profit center if I got multiple rooftops. I got to set my dates every time. I hit refresh to let the screen update the numbers and so on and so forth. So it wasn't very intuitive. Wasn't really user friendly. If I'm in the service department, my tab is the last tab on the screen. And then again, I got to go through and set all these different parameters and filters before I can get to the information I need. And then it's kind of buried in all these tabs here, and I can't really see any two metrics on the same on the screen at the same time. So those are some of the inefficiencies of the previous dashboard that our system had. Awesome tool, just wasn't very user friendly aesthetically, but it gives you a lot of really good information. So going from that, what we've created in the new dashboard is the ability to kind of put the things and the metrics you need on the screen, at one time. So jumping over to our new dashboard. So when the dashboard gets configured for you, you'll start with a blank slate like you see here. So don't be alarmed if that happens. We here at Motility have designed some preset templates for you. So if you go into the tools menu, when you open up the new dashboard and you go to preset, you'll be able to hit apply preset. And these top 4 presets that you see here, finance preset, parts preset, sales and service, you can ignore these. These won't come with your installation. These are some ones that we've set up in our demo environment here. But these top 4 will come with your install or your configuration to the new dashboard. So for example, if I'm a finance manager and I want to see what this preset offers, I can select it and it'll automatically load up some of the KPIs that we thought would be applicable to a finance manager in a dealership. And you don't have to go with those presets. Those are just template options that you can use. And even if you do use the template options, you can still customize it by going to the settings menu here or the gear. And you can change the criteria, the filter, so you can change the profit center. You can change the caption on that particular KPI. You can change the date range or date type you want to look at. So you can do all of those types of things, even if you're using the preset templates. All right. Or you can build your entire KPI screen from scratch. So if I go to tools, and you go to create new tab, that will give us the ability to set up a whole new tab here. And I'll just call this the service manager tab, for example. And then you hit OK. And that'll create a completely blank slate for you for the service manager. Now you want to start pulling in the KPIs that you want to see when you open your dashboard. So back up in that tools menu, if you go into new KPI, the KPIs are broken down by module. So you'll see CRM KPIs, finance, parts, service, unit inventory. And then that last one there is just the details window. So very briefly jumping back, excuse me, to our previous dashboard, with some of the KPIs and some of the metrics, you'd be able to click on the pie chart, and it would give you the details that compose that number down at the bottom. So that's the details window that you're seeing in the new dashboard. The benefit of that is you can have that details window collapse or slide out of view when it's not needed. So it gives you a little bit more real estate on the screen. Or you can have it pinned to the screen to where it's always there. So you have the option to do either. So again, if you go to tools and you go to new KPI, for this particular tab, I'll go to the service KPIs and I'll go ahead and pull in my service comparison KPI. All right, so that's the exact same KPI as this one in our old dashboard where I can set my dates. So I'll just set a date range there and hit refresh. So it's going to give you that information. So we brought over all the KPIs that we've had in our previous dashboard, and we've also added a couple of KPIs that are new to this new dashboard that you don't have in your old one. And going forward, as you guys request more and more KPIs, having this new customizable layout allows us to more easily develop those into the new dashboard. So once you choose the KPI, it'll basically display it on the screen, and then you can take your mouse, grab the header section of that KPI, and you can just drag it. And as you drag it down into the tab, you'll notice these little navigational icons pop up. So basically, this allows you to snap and place that KPI wherever you like on the screen. So if you hover over that top section, it basically highlights the section of the screen that's going to place that KPI, and you can move it around, or I can put it at the bottom, or I can put it over to the left, and I can snap that KPI into that spot. All right. Once I do that, I can go to my gear, and that's where I can preset my filters. So now, instead of every time I want to run this KPI, I have to reset the dates. The new dashboard allows us to set predefined dates. All right, so I can go rooftop A. I want to measure closed cashed out invoices, and I want to be it based on cash out date, and then I can preset my date range. So every time I run this, I can have it running for the previous week or the previous day, previous month, whatever the case may be, and I don't have to set those physical dates every time. And every time I open my dashboard, it'll set the most current information. So I'll do last month, for example, and hit refresh. And then it gives me those metrics, and I can click the gear again to hide that legend. So this little thumbnail here allows you to hide the KPI, so it kind of just slides down out of view a little bit. And then as I click on one of these, if there's a details window, I can add my details window at the bottom here. This particular KPI doesn't have a details window. And then I could grab another KPI here. And let's say I'll do the advisor information. And then I can go ahead and drag this and snap it to where I want. So if I click, you'll notice there's two sets of navigational tools. If I use that one, it'll snap it to the top of the screen. All right, if I use this one in the center of the screen, that's allowing you to snap and place it based on the existing KPIs that are there. All right, I only have two at the moment, so I'll just snap this one to the bottom, for example. All right, and it'll show those two KPIs. And even after I snap it, you can still shrink or collapse, to give yourself some more space on the screen. All right. So this particular KPI has a details window that goes with it. So in order to get those details, I got to add the detail section of the KPI to my tab. So if I go to new KPI again and I hit details, and let's say I want to snap the details to the left of this KPI. So I'll go, right. So I'll snap it here. So as I click on that, my details window shows up over here. All right. And then again, I can shrink that a little bit so I get more visibility on the details window. And again, you can go to your gear and it'll have all of your predefined filters. So anything that's late as of 30 days, and then my closed invoice count, I'll do last month as well. And that's the biggest benefit of this, is being able to set those predefined dates to where you're not having to, change your date ranges every time you go into, the dashboard. Another big benefit of that is the ability, if you have multiple rooftops, to put the KPIs for the different rooftops on the screen at the same time, because you can't do that currently in our current dashboard. You can only get metrics for one rooftop at a time. Whereas in this one, I can see closed invoice counts for rooftop A, and I can add another tab here with the same KPI. And I'll drop it just above that one. And then I could set that one to run for rooftop B. I don't think I have anything on my rooftop be in this environment, but that would allow you to get two rooftops and their KPI uh, indexes on the screen at the same time. Right. So as you build this tab or these tabs, if you want to make your tab a preset, you can go back to the tools menu again, and you can go to presets, and you can say, I want to make this active tab a preset, and we'll call this our service manager preset. So now if any other service manager comes in, instead of having to build their tab from scratch, they can just use the preset that I've already got in place there. All right, so they'll open up their dashboard to a blank screen, and they'll simply go to Tools, Preset, Apply Preset, and they'll be able to choose the preset that I set there. All right. And if you're a GM and you kind of want to see everything, you can create different tabs here for each department, or you can take one KPI from each department, the ones that mean the most to you, and you can just put those all in one tab and just call it your GM tab, for example. So there's a lot of things you can do with it. Really neat tool. And I love the fact that you can put multiple rooftops on it at the same time, and the ability to preset those dates so you're not having to change the date ranges every time you run the metrics. In some of the modules of CRM, there's a leaderboard, and then there's also a scoreboard in the service modules. Because those tabs are so large, they take up so much of the screen space, the system, when you choose those, is going to recommend that you just create a whole separate tab for that particular KPI. And you'll get the message like this. So if I click yes, I'll just call this one the service scoreboard. And this is one of the newer KPIs. So this one you didn't have in your previous or existing management dashboard. And what this one gives you is productivity numbers for your service advisors. So I'll just set cash out date range, and we'll do last month again as an example. Hit refresh. And so for each service advisor it'll give you, the number of billable hours. And as you hover over the column labels here, it'll tell you how those columns are calculated. So billable hours is just that total number of billable hours for the period that you specified here. Collectible hours are hours that are billed, but it's only certain job types. So customer pay, warranty, internal, basically everything except the expense type. So your policy jobs, your comeback jobs, stuff like that are not included in the collectible hours. Actual hours are hours that are flagged on the tickets. And then collectible efficiency is the equation of collectible hours divided by actual hours. And then you got job efficiency, and there's some other metrics here as well. Some of the metrics here are based on the time clock. So if your service team or your sales team aren't using the time clock, a lot of people don't use it if they don't use our payroll. The time clock is a standalone module, so you can still use it even if you're not using our payroll system. You don't have to, but of course, if you're using something like this and you want to get, these numbers reported in your dashboard as well as in some of your reports, it's always a benefit to use the time clock. Because, for example, this productivity time clock measures, their actual hours on tickets versus the time in the building, so to speak. Where they're in there from 9 to 5. So you can get those types of metrics too if you're using the time clock. And there's also one in the CRM that I'll show you here. And I'll actually just snap this to my service tab. It's called the Employee Activity KPI. And I'll just snap it over to the left here. So in this one, if they're using the time clock, it shows you how long they've been on the clock. And it basically shows you what they've done, within that time period. So how many new leads have they entered? How many calls they've made, how many tasks they've created or completed and stuff like that in the time that they've been clocked into the system. But you don't get that metric if you don't use the time clock. So some other benefits of using the time clock, even if you're not using the payroll, definitely something to consider if you want to get the most out of the dashboard as well as your reports. All right. If you create a tab and you later determine that you want to delete that tab and start over, or whatever the case may be, as you guys get used to this, that'll probably happen quite a bit. You can always go to the edit menu, go to rename/delete tabs. All your tabs will be listed there, and you'll be able to delete whatever tabs you don't want to see anymore. Just hit delete and confirm, and hit close, and it'll delete that tab for you. All right. So that basically concludes, my presentation on the management dashboard. The idea was here just give you a preview of it, let you see what it offers, let you see how it differs from the existing dashboard. Hopefully, generate some interest from you guys. And then, like I said, if you guys want to get it going in your systems, just let your account reps know, reach out to them. And actually, we can generate a list of participants after the call, and we can pass your contact information along to the account reps to make that contact with you, and then they can walk you through the process of how to get this installed and configured on your system. It is something that is profit center specific, so if you do have multiple profit centers, you have to let us know if you want it, configured and installed at every profit center, or if you just want it at one, and which ones you want to install that. All right. So with that, I will open up the Q&A session. So I do see a couple of questions in our Q&A that I'll take. All right. So I got a question from Tim asking, is there any limit on the number of tabs? And the short answer is no. You can create as many tabs as you like, that can fit across the screen horizontally, that is. So yeah, no limit to the number of tabs. All right, I got another question from Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Mary's on vacation this week. Who will we contact instead? I can have Marlon reach out to you and get you going. So I will do that as soon as we finish up here. All right. They kind of cover each other when they're out of the office, so that shouldn't be a problem. All right. And this question was asked, I don't see it on this session, but in our previous session, there was a question about pricing. There's no additional cost to use this module. The only additional cost you may incur is if you need further training on how to use it. But if you have training credits, then there's no additional cost for that either. So, but there's no setup fee or, a fee to turn it on or anything like that. But your account reps can get you more information on that. All right. All right. I'm going to keep it open for a little bit longer here. I don't see any additional questions, but I'll keep it open just a bit longer here to see if any pop up, and I'll take those as they come. But if you're good to go, thank you for your time and attendance and attention. Hopefully you got a lot out of it. Hopefully it's something that you guys want to get set up and going as soon as possible. And we'd be happy to configure it for you if that is the case. Excuse me. All right, got another question here from Payroll. I was late logging in. Can I go somewhere to watch this presentation? Yes. Once we're done, we're doing 3 this week. So if you did log in late, there's still one on Friday. That's going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern. So you can still jump on that one. And then once we're done, they're all being recorded. So we are going to publish the recording when we're done with all 3 of them that we're doing this week. So yeah, there will be somewhere to go to watch it later in its entirety. So yeah, anybody else that showed up late and didn't get the full presentation, and if you're still on the call, Friday at noon Eastern, will be another session of the same thing, and then they will also be published. All right. So if you missed it today, don't worry. All right. Another question there from Tim says, we already have the original dashboard active. Will we be automatically able to access the new format? There's a configuration change that needs to happen in order to see the new one. So yeah, just reach out to the account rep and they'll get you to the right people that can get that configuration updated for you. No problem. All right. One other thing I'd like to point out, there are some permissions that go with the dashboard. Pretty straightforward, but I like to cover it. But in your security module, if you go to the manager dashboard permissions, there's a couple of things here, and there are restrictions. So one, you can restrict if you have multiple rooftops. You can restrict users from being able to report on metrics for other rooftops using these here. Those first two permissions at the top, and the number of permissions you see for that is going to be based on the number of profit centers or rooftops you have. And then below that, you'll have restrictions that restrict people from seeing some of the KPIs. So for example, if I'm in the service group, I can restrict the service group from being able to pull the CRM KPIs or the finance KPIs. So you can restrict by KPI in the security section. Alrighty. There's another question here from Lisa. Is there going to be a tab for units? Could you quickly show the finance and units tab? Absolutely. And there is a tab for units. So if you go to tools, new KPI, unit inventory value. And I'll just snap this one to the bottom here. All right, I'll get rid of some of these to make more space. All right, so with the, excuse me, unit inventory, it's basically similar to the parts where it gives you a snapshot of what your parts inventory is every day. This one does the same thing, but you can do it by status. So I'll say things that are ready for sale. And I can choose a different chart type. And you also have 3D charts as an option here, which are pretty neat. So I use a pie chart, for example. And then I can say today, and then refresh. And it'll show me my inventory values for the date range that I have specified here. So I can say, to give it a wider range here. Okay. And the neat thing with the 3D charts, if you hold the Alt key, you can actually shift the chart around. And that's only with the 3D charts you can do that. Right. But you see how it's giving you an inventory value there each day. So that's one of the inventory, actually the only inventory KPI we have in there at the moment. And then for the finance, I'll show you that one really quick. So these are two of them. One is the deal status KPI. And that one's measuring what percentage of deals you got in which status. And that one comes with a detail window at the bottom so I can see the majority of my deals are in negotiating no deposit status. And if I click on that slice of the pie down at the bottom, it'll tell me what deals those are, the customer's name, the deal numbers or quote numbers, the salesperson's name, and the stock number that they're being quoted on. And I can actually hit view down here, and I can view those deals directly from the dashboard. And then over to the right, there's another KPI that measures where your deal deposits are. So I can see I got 17 deposits that are sitting at the cashier station. That could be not sent to cashier. Let me just drag that window down a little bit. Okay, so 17 sent to the cashier, 60 that are not sent to the cashier yet. So they put the deposit on the deal. They haven't hit cash out or sent to cashier yet. And then the last one, I got 387 that are in the cashed out stage. So those deposits have been taken, money's in hand. So those are some of the finance KPIs that you'll have. And the last one there is just a sales comparison that shows you your sales this year compared to last year. And you can break it down by new or used units. You can break it down by make, by model, or type. You can base it on sales, which is just revenue, or profit, average gross, or just number of units, which is unit count. And the same thing, you can do a different type of chart here. So I can do a 3D chart. Close it, and then I could move that chart around. This one probably doesn't work well for that metric, but you get the idea. Keep in mind that some of the chart types that the system offers don't work for all the different data sets, and it'll tell you. So depending on what data it's measuring, a particular chart type may not work. Right. Won't be easy to read, so make sure you pick a chart type that makes sense to you. Excuse me. All right, got some other questions here. From Tim, can these tabs be printed out and shared at department meetings? Some of them can, and you'll see some that have the print option when you hit the settings view, and you can print it. So it looks like quite a few of them can be printed, but it's printing that individual chart, though it's not printing the page. If you want to print the page, you can go to File and Print Screen, and it'll print whatever you have on the screen. But if you want to print an individual KPI, click on that little gear, and if it has a print option, it allows you to print it. All right, another question from Lisa. Any plans to add types of deals, cash to finance, how many aftermarket products, and profit? Yes and no. If we have a need for it, if you guys like to see something like that, then yeah, we always, just like we've done in the past, take feedback from our clients and try to incorporate as much of that. That makes sense into the system. So definitely, if there's a need for those types of KPIs, we want to make this thing as useful for you guys as we can. So you guys get to drive a lot of that. What we add to it. But definitely, you can escalate product enhancement requests through the same methods you guys used before. I think there's actually a page on our website now that allows you to submit product enhancement requests. So yes, we're always looking to make the product better. Those things specifically, I haven't heard any news on, but I can tell you we're always looking to make the product better for our clients. Absolutely, no problem, Lisa. give it another few moments here, see if there's any additional questions. All right. I don't see any additional questions in the chat or the Q&A. I'll let you guys go ahead. Again, I thank you for your time and your attention. Hopefully, you guys see this as something you can definitely use in your dealership. And again, get with your account reps if you want to go ahead and get it configured. Again, we will be hosting another one on Friday, this coming Friday at noon Eastern. So if you join late, or if you know somebody at your dealership that was planning on going but didn't get a chance to, let them know Friday at noon. They can still register on the website for that one. And they are being recorded and they will be published afterwards. So if you didn't get all the information today, definitely additional opportunities coming up here to get that information. But if there's nothing else, I'll let you guys get back to your days. Again, thank you for your time and interest, and look forward to talking with you soon. Have a great day.